Good morning.
Good morning, Beverly Ann.
Suzanne Joy, I think we need to be real. And not that we aren't always real, but we're kind of coming into this chat today without a solid topic. Um, and we want to drop in and be with and use the pulse of this week, which is Gene Key 20, presence, as maybe a foundation to support us all. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Yeah. As you can tell, I have changed my background again. It's continuously a work in progress, as am I, as is humanity. Um, More and more, I'm finding the need to slow down to a point of remembering to breathe, remembering to feel, to sense, remembering to check in with my body. Um, and remembering that everything is perfect, even when it doesn't feel like it. And boy, there's a lot of days that feel far from, in my mind, what perfect is. How are you over there?
Yeah, the past couple of weeks have been pretty super intense. And so it has been about getting back in my body and feeling it and just being compassionate. And when I get irked, or it was funny because I was scrambling around this morning and it felt very hectic. And I was like, well, what's that about? And I looked at this week's Gene Key, the reactive nature, and it's about hectic. And I was like, oh geez, can can I slow down? Can I feel my feet on the ground? Can I really stay present to what I'm feeling and what's happening, how I'm speaking to another person, what's the tone in my voice, what ooh, chill out.
In the work I've done in the past, I did a lot more of this, but putting your hand on your belly and speaking from there. A lot of times I remind people to speak from here. Yes, message wise, but the tone of our voice when we drop down into our lower belly just shifts everything. For me, it does slow down. And just a week ago, it seems hard to believe, we had a major tornado blow through our city, and we're all still digging out, literally and figuratively. We have people in the neighborhood every day asking if we need help for tree clearing and chainsawing and um, roof roof repairs, and it's just it has changed our neighborhood in so many ways. First of all, I think we're all very friendly. And we don't have the devastation that the next couple neighborhoods going to the east and north do. They lost blocks and blocks of old homes, 100-plus-year-old homes, just piles of bricks. And it's going to make me cry. But I want to just say that when there's devastation, there's always something beautiful on the other side, even in the middle of it that we sure can't see, because it just feels like, how are we going to replace 100-plus-year-old trees that got snapped in half? It's going to take another 100 years, but what's going to come up in the play in its space? I went out and planted perennials that are sun lovers because I have no shade left in my front yard, and I'm like, you know, when given lemons, I'm
Yeah,
making
everything has
lemonade.
to change. The whole landscape changes.
Everything's changing. The way the street, when you look down the street, the way you look at my house, everything has shifted. And I have to cry. I have to laugh because I want to just cry. And I want to be with that. We've been talking about being with, but what is it about us that we want to run away from what's right in front of us. The ugliness sometimes, the hate, the to me this felt very violent, this storm, you know. Um, and I sometimes when and you know one of our listeners had COVID last weekend, and she's like, I wish I could go help, but I can't leave the house. And I was like, honey, you just be where you are, you know, and take care of you. Um, I just know that there is there's more to being in communion. And I think we're finding a different level of communal presence. There's individual presence, but then there's tapping into like what this is. This to me feels very energetically alive. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I as I have sit in circles with lots of people during the past couple of weeks, I mean it's palpable. It's and I think that it's reminding us that we all are interconnected. And so just being witness to it, we addressed fear and grief, and feeling it, and what comes out on the other side. And it's sacred, all of it. So it may feel intense and messy and fugly, it's, but then beauty can come out of it. And
Absolutely. Or beauty's in the middle of it. We just, but we can feel it, the beauty. I think once we become witness to it. Is that what it is, do you think? Because it's never gone.
because you need that in order, it's kind of like the compost, to build what you really want to create.
Yeah, right.
So
And
getting clarity, it's like it, okay, I'm going to always use some kind of ecology scenario, but like,
I love that you do.
all right, so let's talk about a prairie, for instance. There, lightning strikes, prairie is burnt down, everything, starts anew. But in that, there are some plants that absolutely need fire in order for it to do what it does, to activate something within it.
Regenerate. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so um, we need these kind of things, I think, internally within ourselves too, to kind of, I don't know, kick us in the ass, to kind of jumpstart something within us, to remind us of our innate abilities, and our bodies carry that wisdom.
Yes,
And
we
that's
remember to tap into it. I think right now, many of us are feeling and I can't imagine what it's like the people that are displaced or the people that lost their homes. I mean, I cannot imagine that because I'm not in that place, but I just keep feeling like, how do we tap into the innate wisdom when we forget? I mean, this is where I think support of being in a community makes a huge difference. You would not believe the donations flowing in, which is so gorgeous to see. Some friends were picking up bricks from the middle of the rocks, I mean, of the street, over the weekend. And they said it just looked like somebody had just been throwing bricks in the street and they were just trying to get them out of the street so it's safe to drive down the street. And somebody drives by with a whole big thing of sandwiches and a bottle of water. I mean, they're just giving them to everybody who's there helping, who's there trying to clean up their homes, who's doesn't have a home. It's just, there's something about the generosity of this city. Years ago, I was involved with United Way, and um, our little community of St. Louis was the sixth most generous of all the United Ways in the country. And I thought, how can that be? I mean, yeah, we have a lot of wealth here, but we don't have very many, I mean, per capita, we don't have that many people, So it was fascinating to me that we have that kind of a community that comes together. So anyway, I'll try to stop crying over here. Take over, please.
no. Well, and when we think about this particular key of um, presence, um, it is it is in our solar plexus, and it's the surrender. It's the surrendering to who we innately are, and the being with, feeling it. I mean, I'm kind of just going back to the beginning of our conversation, but I love the way this is Richard Rudd with the Gene Keys when he talks about divine relaxation. This is remembering that we are divine beings. That's the pure presence of it. And
Yeah.
from that comes our self-assurance, because we know that all needs are met and things are all coming together as they need to. So can we relax our bodies, our systems, not to be in high alert, but to remember and come back into who we are? Is that the mudra?
Mm-hmm. Middle finger to thumb. Just remember. See, here's the totality again, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's beautifully said. Thank you. And I just want to remember that, sometimes when I look outside and I think I cry because the trees are, I feel they're I feel like they're all going, oh, they're in shock for sure. Um, and and then again, I was cleaning out my garden and I'm digging out all these baby trees. I mean, they can't all grow in my front yard. There would be no yard. It would be all trees. Um, but there's going to be a whole new generation that's going to come forth. And I just need to trust that. So that's the word that keeps coming up for me is trust. And I think that's a big one that goes along with presence. Can I trust that divine relaxation? Can I trust myself and my system to drop in, drop down, and be with it all? You know, such a beautiful place. Thank you. Thank you, everyone who does listen, anyone who has any questions of topics that you would like to see woven in. We'd love to hear from you. And we do this for ourselves, yes, first and foremost, but we also do this because we know and we've heard from you that this makes a difference in your lives. So no matter where you're finding our voices, um, we'd love to hear what's going on with you and what's the impact of these days and this great change on you and your system. Until then,
Much love.
much love.